Oh, I want to say one thing about what we're doing here with this morning. We're doing it. We've been doing our Sundays in the style of our book, Reflective Meditation, Cultivating Kindness and Curiosity in the Buddhist Company. And this time we're doing it even a little more like that. By that I mean we're going to go back and forth in a conversation rather than integrating our separate thoughts. Well, we're integrating them, but a little
And
bit.
this is something we discovered when we were writing the book is that we actually, conversation came out of writing together. One person would write something and then another, we would respond. So it's a kind of interesting way that we put our thoughts together. Yeah. All right, I'll start us off. The topic today, we're going to talk about old age, sickness, and death. So, confronting the dukkha of old age, sickness, and death is smack dab in the middle of the spiritual path. We can't help but contemplate old age, sickness, and death right now. In the Buddhist suttas, these contemplations can be given as part of meditation instructions, and they often are, meaning that there are certain guided meditations that remind us of the inevitability of old age, sickness, and death. Sometimes one of the suttas, and the most famous one, is named the Five Remembrances.
Yes, that's the sutta. It's recommended to imagine and or envision your own aging, how you will be when you're sick, how you will be with aging and with your death. Myself and many in our sanghas don't really need to envision our old age. We're living it. Though serious sickness and death, not yet for me. I know that my lived experience of it will be different than my imagination. So, Linda, why imagine this?
To think about it, but I used to think, and maybe I'm still thinking this way, I think I do, that if I envision something before it happens, it will prepare me for it. I'll be less shocked when it happens, my reactions will be different. There's a bit of fantasy in that, but I also think there's some reality in it. I'm in the young old age category of AARP. AARP has created these categories, and it's been enormously heart touching to be part of this Sangha and our community with others that are facing these more directly than I.
Well, there is something to be said for imagining and being less shocked. But I sort of gave up on some kind of imagining sickness because I had that back surgery and I had all kinds of imaginings about how it would play out. By the way, these were proliferated by my doctors and surgeons. They said, "You're going to do great." And I had all the whatever. They had reasons for saying that. I was in good health. I was exercising, et cetera, et cetera. It turned out differently than they said, much more difficult. So sort of kind of feel like I'm back to teaching that I needed to of staying in the present moment, that I needed to stay in the present moment more than proliferate all these ideas of what would happen.
Yeah, so Nellie asked me, am I, teaching the present moment now? Is that what I'm doing? And I responded, yes, if the present moment is allowed to contain proliferations, as long as we don't like say you can't. Because I think we're getting at the discernment that develops with encountering our fears of old age, sickness, and death, or unrealistic hopes that are fed by ourselves and others, the world, that can keep us looking for solutions to solve this problem of what is inevitable.
And I think maybe we're talking about coping strategies. I think we need them. We need to find ways to cope with when our body mind fail us and start, falling apart. Um, but then I remember that's not all that happens. No, there's great moments of insight and intimacy, tenderness, love. And I think they can go hand in hand with falling apart. It actually maybe even opens the door for them a bit more.
A few days ago in one of my groups, someone was sharing about the contentment she had with the process where she's at with her cancer diagnosis. And I also remember another dear friend feeling so intensely curious about her diagnosis that fear wasn't even a part of the picture. But with both of those people, things change. And it got me thinking of the Stages of Dying by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, which are outdated now, though I can see different ways of being and different ways of processing and different processes that develop with our impending death.
So we referred to the 5 remembrances, and I wanted to read them from a translation, but we've adapted a little bit, combined translations a bit. I am subject to aging, have not gone beyond aging. I am subject to illness, have not gone beyond illness. I am subject to death, have not gone beyond death. I will be separated and parted from all that is dear and beloved to me. I inherit the results of my actions of body, speech, and mind.
These sound humbling. And, we both think that that's a good thing because it titrates the delusion and grandiosity, that I could get beyond of the ideas of going beyond aging, beyond illness, beyond death and loss. And fighting it can become so ugly at times and difficult. So letting go then becomes the more appropriate thing to do. We're leading these sanghas, Nelly and I, and we really want to have conversations about what's happening in real time with us. What are our expectations for each other around our old age, sickness, and dying? This is an online sangha, so I won't be able to bring you soup when you're sick. And I don't even know that you'd want me to.
I love soup. I cook soup. And I could bring some of you in the Portland metro area soup, but instead, I'm going to stay in my role as your Dharma teacher. I'm not going to do what rabbis do either. I won't come to your bedside and do prayers. I will be available to talk to you, though, to have individual interviews with you when you request it. That's the thing. We don't do rituals and reflective meditation for the end of life. Our teachers we're not rabbis, we're not ministers, we're not priests. It's really a common thing that's what should happen. That's what the spiritual leader should do. But of course, we do a lot of things differently than other spiritual leaders. So, but alongside of, contemplation of old age, sickness, and death, we are very open to having conversations with you about these topics as you get older, sicker. Well, when you die, maybe we can converse. I'll leave that topic for later.
Maybe that it follows in one of our conversations.
Right.
But we do want to say that, we care deeply about life, about your life, our lives, and the end of life, and your end of life. And working with you over the years has imprinted us. And we'd like to request, and put this request out, is that we hope you'll let us know how you'd like to work with us, how you'd like us to be involved. And if you can't let us know, because sometimes you're not able to talk about it or what's going on, or it's not appropriate. But if you want, interaction with Nelly and I, maybe you'll tell a friend or a loved one how to be in touch with us and make sure that we have each other's contact information. So I'm going to read the last stanza of the sutta, because this is an action that we're asking for, actually. And, is that how are we going to interact and act with each other around old age, sickness, and death? And the last stanza is, I inherit the results of my actions of body, speech, and mind.
Now, none of us really know how we'll act when we find ourselves at the end or with a terminal diagnosis. We can hope that we'll be able to be ethical and that our practice will be step forward somehow, some way. And that ends our talk for this morning.